This blows my mind because think about how many elements were surrounding the kick, yet we somehow isolated it and we don't hear them anymore. What the f? I'm probably going to get in a lot of trouble for showing this, but I think I found the best way to sample kicks from other songs. Look, sampling's a huge part of music, and kick drums are a huge part of your production. This is one area where it can be very tough to find a good kick, unless you use one that you already know is good. Now, I made a video 3 years ago on this exact topic using a multi-band compressor to isolate kicks from a song. However, what that technique didn't do a great job of was removing the other instruments that might be on top of or surrounding the kick in that moment of the song. Let's not waste any time and jump right into this. First thing you need to do is take your finger and click that like button because what I'm about to show you is pretty sick. Now, you're also going to need a song that you want to take the kick from. So here's an example of the first mystery song. You might know what it is. First thing I'm going to do is get one specific isolated kick drum. This one seemed to be the cleanest because there were claps on some of the other kicks. So I'm going to take this kick, and the first thing I want to do is consolidate this into its own audio clip. So the next step is to import this into iZotope RX, which I've already done. Here's just the same exact example inside of RX. All right, now let's talk about the magic that's going to happen here. If you look left to right, you can see the audio waveform in blue. Now, all of the orange color you're seeing, that is volume in specific frequency. So if you look bottom to top, bottom would be 0 hertz, think sub. And as you go to the top of this window, that is the high frequency. So it's showing you where there is volume in specific frequencies. So I can go in and basically remove any volume that doesn't sit in my kick specific frequencies. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this time frequency selector tool, and I'm basically going to start in the top right, which is the end of my clip and the highest frequencies, think 20K. And I'm going to click and drag down towards the bottom left. What this is going to do is select all the high frequency, mid frequency, and low mid frequency from the tail end of this clip all the way to just before the click of my kick drum. Then on the right panel here, I'm going to select the gain tool, and I'm just going to bring the amount down to -infinity. This is then going to strip this section to silence. So you can see the blue audio waveform has changed, and let's listen to the difference. Now we're going to need to zoom in and get more precise. So I'm going to zoom in specifically on the frequency here. And if you look at this meter on the right, the 100, 200, 300, that is showing me the frequency. RX does a really good job of showing energy. Notice how there's this extremely white version at the bottom. That's my actual kick. It's a ton of volume in that range. But then you'll notice the white starts to transition into orange. That means that's a little bit of volume from some other elements that might be sitting in the area, but it's not that high energy that my kick drum contains. So once again, I'm going to zoom in even further on the frequency, and now you see how detailed this is. I'm just going to highlight above that extremely white energetic area, which is my kick, and get rid of everything else that sits right above it at that 100 to 150 area. Now I'm getting closer and closer with each version I do. I can keep tweaking this and eventually get it exactly how I want it to sound.
5 hours later.
Now this is starting to sound pretty damn good. This is a really good kick. Let's bring it to Ableton though and compare it back to the original. In order to get this rendered, I'm just going to go to File, Export, and it can save it as a wave, which I could then bring back into my DAW or save into my custom sample folder. As you hear, it sounds great, but watch what happens if I drag our new isolated kick on top of the original one. They look identical. It's isolated that kick drum and got rid of everything else. Now let's do a null test where I'm going to flip the phase of the kick that I isolated. So technically the kicks should cancel each other out if I play the original song with the isolated kick. It is so close, it's pretty damn good, but the kick is clean as can be. If you were to cut that kick out, you would be stuck with all the other sounds that surrounded it. Not in this case, we just have the kick. Now this next example is definitely going to kick it up a notch because there's a bass line surrounding the kick, other elements, But don't worry, iZotope RX is able to still isolate the kick nice and clean. So here's a quick example of the song we're going to work with. I do all the same steps as before where I consolidate the clip so it's its own unique audio file, and this is what I'm going to drag into iZotope RX. So we're back again. Here's the sample. Let's just get rid of majority of what's going on here in the higher frequencies, and let's just start listening to what's on the low end and low mids. But you can see this isn't going to work because we still have a bass line that's playing off of the kick in the same area. So once again, I'm going to use the zoom tool for the frequencies specifically so we can really see a detailed view of what volume is taking place in that 100 to 200 hertz area. I like to start by looking at the general shape of the kick, and I could see that it pretty much ends around here. So I'm just going to get rid of all of this volume that's sitting right above it, and hopefully that'll get rid of this bass line. All right, it did a little bit, but we're gonna need to shorten this sample because we could see where the kick is starting to fade off. Now we're just left with this bit of sub bass after. Now I'm gonna cut this little bit down at about 95 hertz-ish. The kick is sitting beneath that. The tail of your kick is lower than 95 hertz. It's closer to 50, 40 hertz, something like that. Now I'm going to do the same thing I did before where we're going to go to the click of the kick drum, the high frequency, and move just to the right of it. Now we're going to get rid of everything, basically from the highest frequencies down to about the low mids. I don't want to lose the click of my kick here, but I want to clean up the high end that's close to the transient. All right, this sounds amazing. Let's render this out, export it to a WAV file, and bring it back into the DAW. First thing I notice again is if I drag it on top of the original loop, the kicks look identical. And if we do the null test, you'll notice once again, it's not perfect cancellation, but it's pretty damn close, showing that we really did isolate the kick. This is incredible considering how many other sounds were sitting around the kick in this moment. So I hope this was helpful. If you have iZotope RX, take advantage of this. It's a ridiculous way to sample sounds, and think outside the box here. We did it with kick drums. You could literally do it with anything. Do me a favor, if you found this one interesting, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our future videos, and until the next one, I'll see ya.